I studied architecture in Venice. I degreed, I think, 2006, and but while I was doing university, I was already starting with art, making a film because I was a part of a collaborative project called Shagot, and we used to make installation and experimental films, trying to understand how to work with the narrative inside the video art. That's when we started to have the first exhibitions, and after 4 years, basically not much after I degreed in architecture, we decided to split because probably the passion of working together was gone, or maybe we already find what we were looking for. And that's when I started to work by myself, and the beginning was trying to understand what my point of view as an individual was in making films, and the first step was to start to travel, because I really needed this to start moving in the world. I spent 1 year in China, in which I was working with as an architect and trying to develop this individual work. And this work took shape in Australia. When after China I went there, it was really important, and I make the first film that is based on this character that is wandering around the land. It was a work developed studying Aboriginal culture and nomadic cultures that were still existing in the world, and this was the starting point of all my research. After this, there has been other films, and the project started to get more concrete. I did a residency for a biennale in Turkey, where the second step of this nomad was realized. Then in the Dolomites, and finally in Canada. The character was played by myself at the beginning because of the limitations, because I was still trying to understand what was this project about. So I didn't thought it was good to involve other people, because I was still really developing. And after this, as soon as I understood what was the line, the red line that was crossing this work, I started to involve with other people, mostly non-professionals, actors, and in Canada, this process was in some way completed, because I consider the film I did there a synthesis of the previous works, and the character is not one individual crossing the land, usually deserted, usually abandoned with no traces of civilizations, with wrecks of cars and dead animals, like there was an apocalypse that basically destroyed civilization. In Canada, the character split in three. I was thinking about the syndrome of multiple personalities, and I'm always one of my main interest together with anthropology is psychology. It is not a science, but I was really interested in how this how the research on psychology can give opportunity to art to think in a new way about how the project, the work is perceived by the public, and how the human mind works. There was a book by Pierpaolo Pasolini, Petrolio, that was really important because it's a book about fragmentation of identity, and in this book the main character is split in two, and it's two different people that shift also sexually between one sex to the other, because it's a matter of adaptation to a trauma, to a changing environment, to a changing climate. The human being is not a passive creature. It tends to adapt to changing conditions, but through changing conditions it never stayed the same. Always change and change the attitude and the approach he has in life and in the action that has to take place to survive. So this idea was applied in Canada in the film, and the character and the whole film played this this contrast between this mystery of three different people wandering around the landscape, very different from each other, and I wanted the public to feel this contrast, but also to ask himself who were these people, why are they in this place, why are they, it looks like they are chasing each other, are they the same person or personality of the same person, are they separate? So these questions that I wanted to put in the movie were like the starting point for also for the future projects, and the one I started here in France through this residency, to try to work with this multiple with the character that is just one inside, because the actions kind of repeats through the works, and the psychology in some way stayed the same, but at the same time there is a physical changing of bodies. In fact, this residency was perfect to keep on applying this process, because I was asked to come here and stay 15 days in each different art center in Cajarc, but actually was the residency was in Saint-Cyr-la-Popie, in here in Saint-Gaudens, and in the next few weeks, 2 weeks, I'll be in Toulouse. In this idea of these three really separated place and art centers, I decided to work on a project in 3 parts. But by now the title is A Character in 3 Bodies: Revelation, Utopia, and Escape. So the revelation is in Saint-Cyr-la-Popie, where you see where the character is a photographer, is an artist that took part to the same residency, a program called PIANO-ALTO, that is an exchange between France and Italy. She's Lise Lacombe, and her photo camera in some way identified with my camera. So there is this continuous going in and out of her lens in some way to capture what she's seeing, and what she's seeing in some way is the observation of the world as the photographer work. That was really fitting with the idea of the character itself, the wandering character, that he becomes kind of an observer of the reality that surrounds him. she started from a really wild and mysterious landscape and by the end of this first part, she get in touch for the first time with the community. In some way, this is destroying completely the idea of the catastrophe that was behind the previous works, and show that humanity still exists. It was really important for me to start here a project that was embracing the reality we live today. Also because I am a little tired of an art that is abstracted from the reality we are living and the problems that we are living. And the problems, I think, are many. There is many things that we should talk about, and the artists in some way are trying to avoid the subject, probably because there is a lot of confusion going on with the media influence and the political influence that happens right now. So at the end of this, I came here in Saint-Gaudens, and the second part of the filming will be in fact the last part of the movie. So it will be the escape. The character change is a person from the place, Antoine Palomar, and with him we went up the mountain and on the border with Spain. It is a border that doesn't exist anymore with the European Union, but still in this place you have the buildings, the abandoned buildings that were the border once. And with him I turn him through a mask into a smugglers of like the people that were crossing the Pyrenees that would bring illegally goods and materials from Spain to France and vice versa. And with him we filmed close to Api, close to the border with Andorra, up to a mountain with the lake, a very beautiful place, but very raw as well, really with a lot of wind, so not easy to adapt to this. It's not easy to adapt for us and for everybody to this place, and we started filming there, and the character will be exiting the movie through the border at the end of the film, and it will be not a long scene. It will be quite short, but I think very powerful, because the nature in this case, apart from like the really beautiful surroundings of the Pyrenees, will be really present through the presence of wind and the movement of lights and clouds and shades that this creates. While in the border on the opposite side there is no wind, so there is this really static and symbolic, metaphoric scene of this crossing of a border that doesn't exist anymore. That will be the final scene of the movie. In Toulouse, in the next few weeks, I will shoot the core of the film. That will be an extension of this community that Liz meet at the end of her part, the first part in the Lot region, where there will be a group of people in a library that will discuss utopia and democracy as an utopia, trying to understand, I hope, even through very tough discussion, which model of democracy is possible to apply in real life, and also if it's possible to have a real democracy, if it's a utopia or it's not. This because in Toulouse there was an Italian anti-fascist famous refugee. In a way, he escaped fascism during the first season of fascism, when the teacher were asked to sign up for the party. He refused. He was teacher of law in Venice University, and he ran away, came to Toulouse and opened a library. That became the meeting point of the anti-fascism and the resistance against the totalitarianism in Europe at the time. And as a tribute to him and to that particular moment in which there was a lot of talking to understand and to find a way to fight against this totalitarianism that are very populistic, really trying to buy the consent of the population through really basic things, but at the same time intend the state as a big mother that decide and control everything. So I think it is interesting to create a discussion about democracy. It's not about anti-fascism or resistance, it's about what we can do. The discussion probably will have no solution, but I just want to create a situation through the collaboration of the people I will be working with that create a dynamic, a really intense talk where the subjects are put on the table and the public is free to think and interpret and made his own mind about the subject.
Okay. Maybe you can give us tell us the dates of when you will show your work and what is the next step to show your work.
The work, of course, I concentrated my work here and in mainly filming, and of course I am checking repeatedly the material in this period when I come back from the filming. But the editing is something that I want to leave for later, to detach myself from the material in the sentimental way in which the director can be really attached to some parts. I want to see it from the outside and edit it all, I think, in the next 2 months. Also with the help of an editing a friend that is an editor for film, and through an help of a musician for some part of the soundtrack. And at the same time, I think the first time the film will be shown will be in April in Cajarc, Maison des Arts, Jean Pompidou. That's the date where the art centers in France are at the moment decided to make an exhibition of me and Nina as the Italian artist, together with the 3 French ones that went to Italy in the same time. And after this, the idea is to change and correct the film and start to look for screenings, because at the moment I think my work is so connected to the cinema language that in some way is better understood and perceived inside this system, this environment, more than in the environment of art, where especially recently, and I'm talking about Italy and a few countries that I know, but it's not the same everywhere. But at the moment, video is in a way put aside, and there is a request for very easy, simple and short concepts, in some way more really connected to the idea of conceptual art. While I think that even if I know conceptual art, and it's really hard to separate yourself from the experience of art of the last 50 years. I think that what I'm trying to do and the relationship that I have with cinema is so strong that I'm not really interested in following a path while following my research and see where this is leading me and leading my work. So after the exhibition in Cajarc, the film will have, I hope, his own life into the circuit of experimental cinema and festivals, and then we will see the interest on the movie and eventually also how the art world will react with it, and how there will be different situation to show it in the future. At the moment, there is no plan for new works because the way I started to work in some way it's really contextualized. So the place where I go and the people that I happen to work with are really important in the final result. And in this dynamic, I want to create a separation for what I am and the usual author, director, the dictatorship that the director put into place with the actors and with the story, like forcing the actors, pushing their limits, even through suffering, if we think about Lars von Trier, for example. And I'm more interested in seeing myself as a catalyzer, so some sort of device that give an idea, and this idea in some way activate a process in the actors, and it's all a relationship within me, the collaborative work that we do together as actors and director, and the places that we cross that are the background, the backdrop of the films that are real, raw, and we have to adapt like the character. So in some ways, like creating the condition of in some way repeating what all the work is about adaptation, about changing, because the world is changing around us. This fluxus, this flow of reality that is surrounding us, and sometimes crashing with our life.